This is another class on the ministerial duty of appointed and elected officials. This class is brought to you by paperwork.org, and this is not legal advice. If you want to seek an attorney, please seek an attorney, but this is not legal advice. This is a class that goes over the law and what the law is, and it's just free for people to know and understand the laws and how the laws work. So, in this class, we're going to talk about ministerial duty of appointed and elected officials and their legal authority and the proper requirements and the requirements for the proper qualifications. Okay, because every single public official, including a police officer, including a sheriff, including a judge, including a prosecutor, including a district attorney, every single one of them must be qualified for the position or for the office that they are holding. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And this is my main go-to for all of my lawsuits. So this presentation outlines the ministerial duty of all appointed and elected officials to be properly qualified for their position. Okay, because if you're not properly qualified by your position, then you shouldn't be exercising the duties of that position. Okay, because they will be acting without lawful authority, and any actions that they take would be invalid. So let's go over the legal foundation. The United States Constitution, Article 6, requires officials to take an oath of office. The state constitutions define qualifications for the office. And the government code, excuse me, and the election laws govern the eligibility and appointment process. So there's so many things in law, but let's zero in and let's get an eagle eye focus on the ones that actually matter for we the people. And the ones that actually matter for we the people, especially in cases where there is no corpus delicti and you have somehow uh, been arrested, I call that being a political prisoner, from a fake government. And the fake government focuses on the government code and the election laws that govern eligibility and appointment process. So we the people need to become educated. We need to make sure that we understand what the laws are, who controls the laws, and who has authority. Everything starts with authority. The people that are, wearing the outfits aren't just government because they're government. No, like they need to have authority to be putting on a police uniform. They need to have authority to sit behind the bench. They need to have authority to be a firefighter. They need to have authority to be a governor. And the list goes on and on. So a ministerial duty, and the reason why I focus on the ministerial duty is because when you have a fake fraudulent government, they're gonna pull all the tricks in the book. And I'm a mathematician. I like 100% certainty. I like to know that what I'm talking about, it nobody can say anything else about it. And how I do that and what I find is ministerial duty. Look, buddy, if you're a police officer and you have the ministerial duty to have an oath and a bond, then you must have that or you're not a police officer. Okay? Yeah, you have on the uniform, you're getting compensation, but you actually need to pay all that money back because you're misappropriating public funds. Because, buddy, you were not qualified for the position because you didn't do what you needed to do to qualify for that position. The same thing goes for judges, governors, attorney generals. Every single government position needs to be qualified. And in qualifications, they need to have legal qualifications before assuming office. I'm going to say that again. They need to have legal qualifications before they assume office. This includes the oaths, the certificates, this includes the bonds, okay? This includes all of the eligibility criteria before they're able to lawfully and legally execute the duties from that office. So let's go over what the requirement for proper qualification usually is. Sometimes it's statutory qualifications, age, residency, citizenship. Sometimes it's that they have to have an oath and a bond before performing the duties. If this public official does not have an oath and does not have a bond, well, then it renders everything that they do void. In the Latin term, ab initio, from the beginning. So that means that excuse me, none of their acts or anything that they're doing, their mandates and whatever they're doing, none of that is lawful. Because if you don't have the authority to issue mandates, then you don't have the authority. Then nothing that you issued is lawful or legal. And you don't have the authority to do so. And it renders everything that you do void. That's why I say this is the holy grail of constitutional law. This is it. It is authority. Consequences of the lack of authority. So anytime a person does something without any lawful authority, well, they're legally invalid. Okay, so if a fake judge sentences someone to death, then the actions of that fake judge are unlawful. Okay, if there are any decisions, any orders, any contracts, they're all void and unenforceable because the person does not have authority. And there are tons of legal liability, administrative penalties, and criminal consequences because a person who is executing duties from a vacant office is pretending to be a public official. They're also misappropriating public funds. What can you do when you come across these unlawful combatants? Well, there's a writ of quo warranto, which challenges the authority of an official to hold office. There's a writ of shari facias. There's a writ of mandate, which compels officials to comply with legal duties. And there's judicial review, where the courts can nullify the actions taken without proper authority. Okay, so in many cases, sometimes you go into court and these people will be doing all these things, and you'll be like, oh my gosh, I hate the government. I hate the government. Let's check first if they're actually government, because if they're not government, then they're just people who are foreigners in office acting unlawful combatants. That means that, like, for example, in the state of California, we've got this purported governor, Gavin Newsom. Well, he doesn't have authority to be the governor. So if he doesn't have authority to be the governor, then who's the governor? Probably a foreigner, right? That's why all these foreign things are happening in the state of California, because we do not have a person that is the head of our executive department who is actually has any authority. He's actually completely without any authority. And that's a crime. That's a crime. Mr. Always looking like I gotta go potty. Guy, gotta go potty. He reminds me of like a 2-year-old. But anyway, that 2-year-old has no freaking authority. So there's tons of case law that support this. We have Marbury versus Madison. We also have the Chevron decision. We have Norton versus Shelby County, because acts of an unqualified official are void. All right, that's just it. We have the State X Rel versus John Doe. In conclusion, the appointed and elected officials must meet all legal qualifications to hold office, because without lawful authority, any actions they take are void and unenforceable. Okay, and there are tons of legal remedies that exist to challenge and correct these violations of authority, because not one single person has a right to violate the rights that are given to you from your creator. Not one single person has that right.